What's up guys, in today's video I'm gonna be showing you the amp that I'm selling. It's the Marshall Dirty Shirley style clone build that was done by Dries Pottevan from Solo Dallas and also his own amp service thing that he's calling Dries amp service. So the amp is based on a Dirty Shirley. So in the front you can see presence, bass, middle, treble, high treble and normal, and then you can see 4 inputs. But so I wanted to retain the look of a nice plexi amp, but actually the high treble loudness 1 is the master and the normal loudness 2 is the gain, and then these two jacks underneath, they don't do anything, and here we have the low sensitivity and the high sensitivity, much like the Friedman Dirty Shirley. And the knob of the gain, also normal / loudness 2 on here, is push-pull. If you put it in, then it's just the low gain mode. If you pull it out, it's kind of the high gain mode. It's something on the second gain stage. The cathode is changed a little bit, much like the structure switch on the Dirty Shirley. So that's how it works. So we have a push-pull here to do that. Off, on, standby. We have in the back got a second master volume. So if you put in a foot switch, you can go between the regular master on the front and some boost that you can add from the knob in the back. So the knob, if you set it all the way down, it's gonna be unity gain, and when you go up, you can boost the volume. If you have a foot switch with a light on, when the light is off, you actually engage the boost. When it's on, you don't engage it. So that might be a little bit tricky for some people, but you can just also go ahead and put in a foot switch without a light, and then you don't have the light to worry about. In the back there is a very transparent effects loop that is an exact clone of an effects loop that is used a lot, designed by Steve Miller for Metro. So if you know Metroplex, those loops, it's the same loop. So let's go ahead and hear what she sounds like. At the moment I've got her set on a very low master setting. We're excuse me, we're using impulse responses to simulate G1265 cabinets. So it's not actually going through the cabinet, it's G1265, but we're very low master. It's beneath 1 even, and it still sounds great. This guy can be used at home, bedroom levels, or on stage, or anywhere in between. Doesn't really care. You will find that if you run low master settings, you might up the gain a little bit to compensate, but other than that, this is really a great amp. Why am I selling it? Well, I have 2 vintage Marshalls, I have a Solo Dallas SD50. I don't have the time to play all of them live. I use the Blue Guitar Amp 1 these days. This used to be my live amp, so no use for it live also anymore. So yeah, that's why I'm selling it. It's a great amp, but gotta make room for other stuff, like most of you know. So let's start out with the Telecaster. This is a late 60s Telecaster with original pickups. We're gonna be going into the high input. I will show you the low input. I will use some humbuckers in a second, might get the GRETSCH out too. So let's go ahead and see some of the tones. So that's the basic tones on the high input with the gain starting at 5 and then all the way up. If you want to get into as a breakup, I'd suggest you do the low input, which is the left top one. What you get then is kind of more of a plexi sound as a breakup. If you are a Hendrix guy, this thing does pretty nice cleans too. So let's check that one out. So what you will know is that whatever you do with this amp, it always cleans up beautifully with the volume control. It was something I stressed big time to Dries, that I really wanted to have the dynamic of the volume control. So whatever you do in the low or in the high input, you can really not go wrong by going down with the volume. And as you can see in the low input, you can really have some amazing clean sound. So if you are a pedal guy, but sometimes you want to go straight in and crank and have no distortion, this thing is gonna be doing it too. Great effects loop. As you can see, the second master works. You can put in a regular latching foot switch. So that's just a regular Marshall foot switch. Drop it in there and you can do your second master boosts. So yeah, that's great. Let's check out some humbuckers and maybe the GRETSCH. Okay, so that was a very quick run through of this amp. Hope you liked the sounds. Now I will give you a close-up of all the controls. Okay, so we're up close with the amp. So let's go over the controls. So of course the left one is your on-off switch. So yeah, that one you know. The right one is a standby. So first this one, wait a little bit, then this one. The indicator, so we chose like a Dirty Shirley style indicator light, which is cool. Presence, bass, middle, treble. It all does what you kind of expect. I would suggest keeping the bass with humbuckers around 2 or lower. If you have like single coils, Strat or TELE, you might just put in a bit more than you did with the humbuckers. And with the presence and treble, you can also crank those a little bit more with the humbuckers to get your kind of detail a little bit more up to snuff. Then, of course, we are getting to the master. So high treble loudness 1, this is the master. As you can see, we are at mouse fart volumes. This is like the lowest that you can almost get the amp. And if you have a great sounding cabinet, it will still sound great. You don't need an attenuator with this guy. It doesn't make much of a difference. Most of the tone is in the preamp, so you can really just go ahead and use this without attenuator. That's what I did all the time. And then the right one is the gain. So you have a push-pull, which means you can pull it out. Pushed in, you have the low gain. Pushed out, you have the high gain. It's like the structure switch on the Dirty Shirley. You get kind of like the low structure and then the high structure. And then we have the inputs. So again, these low two inputs, they don't do anything, so don't use them. The left one, so this is the low gain, and the right one, this is the high gain. So once again, number 1 high input is low gain, number 2 here is high gain. So don't let that confuse you. As you can see, it's a beautiful FA guitar caps head shell. As you can see, we have a nice Marshall logo on there. So I will flip the amp around now so that you can see all of the things in the back. Okay, so we have the back. So as you can see, the back plate is not made for this exact amp. It used to have a different amp in there, so that's why there is a little bit next to this thing showing. So yeah, that's just that. You will also see there is kind of some how do you call it in English? I don't know. It's kind of a little broken kind of scratch thing here around the return jack. It is what it is, guys. The left one is a foot switch. So what does that mean? You put in your foot switch here, and that way you can go between the normal master, or this one is a second master volume, so it's not an impedance selector. So all the way like this, it's like unity gain on or off. I will just put in an IEC cable and speaker cable, so that way, and then I will turn the amp on. Okay, so when the light is on, we are just running the master in front. When it's off, then the boost is in play. So like this, it's the master in front. And like this, we get the boost from here. So you can boost as much as you want. Will be a lot when you go all the way up. Will be not so much when you're like all the way down. So that's just the boost that is foot switchable. So again, I know it's confusing when it's on. It's actually no boost, and when it's off, it's boost. But it is what it is, guys. So yeah, that's the foot switch. Then we have the send and return here on the effects loop. So you put your effects in there. It's a really, really nice and clear effects loop. Okay, we have 16 ohms. That's it. So nothing other than 16 ohms is meant to be used with this amp. Again, this is the second master. This is not an impedance selector. As you can see, master 2 is underneath here. So don't expect this amp to do 4 or 8 ohms. It will do 16 ohms only. Then of course you have your fuse here, and I know that you guys will know what that does if it interests you and if you are an MTech, but other than that, you don't need to touch that. Okay,